right, good afternoon, everybody. It's good to have everybody in the class for another session of our Demo Wednesdays. Once again, for everybody who will be watching this video later on YouTube, the Demo Wednesdays are a space where in the Methods and Approaches class, we sometimes invite special guests to share their insights on different topics related to teaching, language teaching, education, sometimes the meaning of life. I mean, whatever we get in the middle of the conversation. So for this demo coincides with the unit on material design that we organize, have in this class. And for this occasion, I have decided to invite an esteemed friend and colleague in Maritza Medina. A little bit of her background. Maritza recently finished her master's in, I think, TESOL, was it, Maritza?
Yeah, it was in TESOL, yeah.
In TESOL from Michigan State University. So for those who are there, I guess I could say go Spartans because, well,
go green, go white.
And go Spartans, there you go.
Yeah, the best team, you know.
Okay, all right. I am not going to start that conversation right now because that's not the topic of today's class. I'm not gonna have that conversation right now because that conversation only has two colors, orange and blue, and we're gonna move on. All jokes aside, Maritza, so she says she has a master's in TESOL from Michigan State University, and she's also a Fulbrighter. She's a Fulbright alumni. She got a Fulbright scholarship to do her master's, and I had the chance to meet Maritza a little before right before she was about to leave for grad school, and we started talking. We found the affinities we had around language teaching. I've been following her career with a lot of interest. Maritza's specialty has to do with material. She's been doing some work on material design with a particular attention to issues of inclusion and issues of disability, which is an area I think that we still have a lot to learn when it comes to language teaching and language education. And I think the teachers that we have in the audience, both in the class and again, people will be watching this video once you see it on YouTube, still have a lot to learn about what it means to create materials where we can really include all the students in our class. That'll be the last thing I'll say because I think Maritza has a lot more to offer us from her own experiences, from her own research, from her own teaching, from her own life. And I don't want to take up any more of the time that it's dutifully hers. So with that in mind, Maritza, the floor is yours. I really want to express my gratitude to you for spending some time with us today, with giving us to share your ideas, and your experience with the students. Hopefully, as you tell us about your work and about your insights, the students will have questions. If there are questions, I do invite the students to open their mics and ask the questions through the microphone for this one, just to make it easier for the flow. I mean, of course, you can put the chat, but then we'll have to read the questions out loud, so it's better if you can do it yourselves. So with that introduction, and once again, my gratitude for your presence with us this afternoon, Maritza, the floor is yours.
Okay, so Raul, thank you so much. Yeah, so nice. It's very nice to stay with you today. A little nervous because, you know, my auditorium usually it's totally different. So I'm gonna try to do the best today. Yeah, as Raul said, I am English teacher. I have taught English for many years in different sceneries. So I have worked with different populations here in Colombia and in other countries. Also, I have taught Spanish. I love really both to teach English and Spanish. It's not my main characteristic, but obviously I prefer that you know since the beginning. I am a blind person, so I use screen readers to interact with my computer. So I'm gonna share a screen, and when you listen a strange voice talking to you, is my computer that speaks. Uh, what else? And I did the master program in Michigan State University. It was very, very nice experience for me. It was wonderful. My English is not as well as Raul, but I'm gonna try to do the best. I insist. And just I like a lot to talk, but I like more listen people. I like more to have conversations. It's not the idea that I speak for 90 minutes, can be a little boring. So I would like to know if you have questions for me about disability, about inclusion, that I know that it's not the most wonderful word, but it's, you know, the most fashion nowadays. If you have any question about, I don't know, strategies or my personal life of everything that you want, so you're welcome, okay? So no worries for that. Okay, so for starting, let me see. I'm gonna share my screen. Wait a second. Wait. Give me a second. Okay, I'm gonna try to share. Can I share? Yes, I think so. Okay.
Yes, you can. No problem.
No, says that no. So can you give me permission, because it appears that no.
Yes, just give me 1 second and I'll set
No
you
worries,
up.
no worries. It's okay, it's okay.
No. Let me
Take
just
your
hold
time.
on. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you're a co-host, so you should be
Yeah,
able to
it's
share.
easier. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Now you should be able to.
Oh,
As a
I
co-host,
see.
you should be able to share.
Okay, yes, I can now. Okay, let me see.
Alt plus Q button.
Okay, apparently you are listening now, my computer.
Oscar Arredondo Sahayunido.
What's the idea? Sorry, the voice is not the most attractive, but you know, her name is Eva. Let me introduce Eva. She speaks all the time. So I want to start today sharing with you one of my favorite fairy tales. When I was a child, I listened to the story. Since the first time that I listened, I identify many characteristics in the story that make me feel like, oh my God, this is me. So I want that you listen and watch Valentina. This story.
Gobelino, the Witch's Cat. On a dark and cloudy night, 2 tiny kittens crept out of the cave where they had been born. It was the first time they had set foot outside the cave. It was so dark that Gobelino could barely see his twin sister, Sutica. She was as black as the night itself. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" asked Gobelino. "Oh, I'll be a witch's cat like Ma," said Sutica. "I'll learn magic and how to ride a broomstick and turn mice into frogs and frogs into guinea pigs. I'll fly on the night wind with the bats and the owls saying meow, and people will say, 'There goes Sutica, the witch's cat.'" Gobelino was silent for a long time. Then he said, "I'll be a kitchen cat. I'll sit by the fire with my paws tucked under my chest and purr. When the children of the house come in from school, they'll pull my ears and tickle and tease me. I'll mind the house and chase the mice and watch the baby. And when all the children are in bed, I'll climb onto their mother's lap and they'll call me Gobelino, the kitchen cat." "Don't you want to be bad?" "No," said Gobelino. "I want to be good so that people will love me. People don't love a witch's cat." Just then, a ray of moonlight fell across the kittens. Sutica hissed and arched her back. Brother, one of your paws is white." Everyone knows that witches' kittens are black all over from head to foot, with eyes as green as grass. In the deep, dark cave, nobody had noticed. But now the moonbeam lit up a pure white sock, and his lovely round eyes were blue. Sutika rushed into the cave. Ma, Gobelino has a white sock and blue eyes, and he wants to be a kitchen cat. Her mother came to the mouth of the cave. The witch was not far behind. They knocked Gobelino head over heels, cuffed his ears, pulled his tail, and threw him into the darkest, dampest corner of the cave among the witch's toads. Later he heard the witch talking to his mother. Sutika will make a clever little witch's cat, but what shall we do with Gobelino? When the moon rose, the witch and her cat mounted their broomstick, with the 2 kittens in a bag behind them. They flew so fast that little Gobelino, peeping through a hole in the sack, saw the stars flutter past like a shower of diamonds. It made him dizzy to look down. Sutika mewed with joy, but Gobelino shivered, and tears of terror dropped onto his white front paw. "Oh, please, please stop, please," he cried, but nobody paid any attention. At last, the witch and her broomstick swooped down onto Hurricane Mountain. An ugly old hag lived there who agreed at once to take Sutika and train her to be a witch's cat. Sutika was so happy that she hardly stopped to say goodbye to her little brother. She wanted to begin learning how to turn people into frogs and toads. But the hag refused to take Gobelino. "A witch's cat with a white paw? No one will want him." So Gobelino rode away on the broomstick behind his mother and the witch. They visited 50 caves, but none of the other witches wanted Gobelino because of his white paw and blue eyes. They flew home again, and the witch flung Gobelino back among the toads. In the morning he woke up and found himself all alone. The witch and his mother had gone. Suppose they never come back. Oh, what shall I do? But then an idea struck him. Now I never have to be a witch's cat. I can go and find a happy home to live in for ever and ever. And he stopped crying. The witch's cave was on the edge of a forest, not far from a river. Gobelino washed his face and coat very carefully, and then trotted through the fields till the forest was out of sight. In front of him was the bubbling river, with bright fishes in it that made his mouth water. Quite soon, a lovely trout, pink and gold and blue, swam slowly towards him. Gobelino trembled with excitement and lifted a front paw. At the same moment, the trout saw him and flashed by with a swish of its tail. The kitten made one wild grab, overbalanced, and tumbled into the water. There was a terrible splash. Then he began to swim, as only a witch's cat can. He swam and swam as the river carried him far from the cave where he was born. He swam until the river ran into farmland. Some children were playing on the bank. "Look, look," they shouted. "There's a kitten out there in the water." "He'll drown," cried one of the girls. "Quick, quick, get him out." The boys ran to the bank with a stick and fished Gobelino out, dripping wet. "What bright blue eyes! He's got 3 black paws and 1 pure white." The children took Gobelino home to the farm to show him to their mother. And it had the kind of kitchen little Gobelino had dreamed of. There were bright pans on the shelves, a blazing fire, and a baby in a cradle. "Wow, what a lucky cat I am," Gobelino thought. "Now I can settle down and be a kitchen cat forever." The farmer's wife took Gobelino on her lap and wiped his wet fur with a warm cloth. "Now, where do you come from, little cat? How did you come to fall in the river? You might have been drowned." "Wow." When his fur was dry, the farmer's wife gave him a drink of warm milk. And when she went to milk the cows, he played with the children. Every witch's kitten knows all sorts of tricks, and though Gobelino wanted to be a kitchen cat, he knew them all. He made blue sparks come out of his whiskers and red ones out of his nose, and to the children's delight he made himself invisible, then reappeared, hiding himself in all sorts of strange places. In the middle of all his fun, the farmer came in to tea. He saw Gobelino's tricks, but said nothing. The children were sent off to their beds, and the little cat curled up in a box under the kitchen table. The fire died down. Gobelino slept peacefully, dreaming and purring. Then, suddenly, tap, 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 a hobgoblin peered in at the window. Gobelino sat up and whispered, "Who's there?" "Come and let me in, little cat," said the hobgoblin. Gobelino sat and stared at him. What a lovely kitchen! What bright dishes! What a pretty cradle! What a warm fire! Won't you let me come in? But Gobelino only sat and stared at him. The hobgoblin began to rattle at the window. "You kitchen cats are all the same. Look at you, all warm and safe. Look at me, lonely and cold outside." When Gobelino heard this, he remembered being lonely and lost. He trotted to the window. "You can come in and get warm for a little while," he said. The hobgoblin jumped through the window and left dirty, wet footmarks all across the kitchen floor. "How are you? How are your family?" he asked, giving Gobelino's tail a pull. "My mother has gone away with my mistress, the witch," replied Gobelino, "and my little sister Sutika has been apprenticed to a hag on Hurricane Mountain. I don't know how they are." "Oh, ho!" grinned the hobgoblin. "So you're a witch's kitten?" "Oh, no, not anymore. This afternoon I became a kitchen cat, and I'll be a kitchen cat forever and ever." The hobgoblin laughed loudly and turned head over heels. He knocked some knitting off the chair, and it became tangled round the table legs. "Oh, do be careful," cried Gobelino. But the hobgoblin ran into the larder and shut the door. The kitten trotted round trying to pick up the stitches, but it was no good. The hobgoblin bounced out of the larder. He had eaten all the cream. "Well, I'm going. Good night, little witch's kitten," said the hobgoblin, jumping out of the window. Gobelino trotted back to his box and slept. Early in the morning, the farmer's wife came downstairs. She found her knitting in a tangle and all the cream stolen from the larder. Written across the floor in milky letters were the words, "Gobelino is a witch's cat." "Look at this mess," she yelled. "I told you so," said the farmer. "He's a witch's cat, no good to anyone. I'm going to drown him." When Gobelino heard the farmer's angry voice, he was out of his box in one bound and out of the kitchen door, across the cobblestones, past the hayricks and up the hill. "Yesterday I was a witch's cat," thought Gobelino. "Last night I was a kitchen cat. Now it looks as if I'll have to be some other kind of cat. I wonder what kind it will be."
I would like to listen to your opinion. The main idea of this story, what it means for you, because really is very important in my personal life. But I would like first to listen to you. What do you understand of this story? I don't know if someone wants to make a summarize, something very short. Maybe Raul can can help me choosing someone, or I don't know, volunteers.
Well,
or,
yeah, let's see if somebody wants to step up and say something.
Instagram, inlay left per and 47.
Okay, let me, I'm gonna try to stop for a minute. Wait.
Alt S.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know, you can raise your hand and let me know a little about the story. I know that some of you arrive a little late, so sorry for that. But it's just to give me in one sentence, what do you understand of this story? It's not very complex, I think. So I don't know.
All right, so let's hear it. Let's hear it from folks. So what's your takeaway from this story?
Mm-hmm. Oh, was very hard. No, I think that was very easy.
No, I think they're just thinking. Okay, anybody?
Yeah, no worries. You can raise your hand and let me know about what do you think about the story. If you understand what was my idea and why do you think that we're playing that story today?
Let's hear it.
Well, I will say
Okay.
something. Okay.
No worries. Okay, you
all
will.
right,
So I
Javi.
think we are all very shy because this is being recorded and it's going to be on YouTube.
No
Oh,
worries.
no
I don't
worries.
know. No, no worries. Nobody is going to criticize your beautiful voice. So, okay. What's your name?
Hey, my name is Natalia.
Okay, Natalia, tell us. What do you understand this story?
So it reminded me of the ugly duckling. So it was like Gobolino, the cat.
Yes.
He was very different from the others.
Yeah.
He had white paws and blue eyes, and the others had green eyes, and I don't remember the color.
Black. Very,
So
very black.
yeah, so he was like the different one, and maybe he felt left out because of that. But at the end, I don't know, like he starts being accepted. He gets adopted by the
No,
princess, and
exactly. You have to watch the rest of the video. Really, the end is very sad. I don't know. It's just, if you feel curiosity, you can go to YouTube and look for the story, but the end it's a little sad. It's
yeah.
right. But very good, Natalia. Yes, basically the cat was different from the others, and he has at the beginning he had different dreams and different illusions from his family. And what happened? So do you see what happened? Someone else want to say something else? What was the attitude of the family of Gobolino when they discovered that he was different? So family, I mean his mother and the witch and his sister. So ideas. Oh my God. Yeah, he was rejected. Oh, yes. Okay. I would like more to listen to your voice, David, but it's okay. So, yeah, he was rejected basically, and he was abandoned. Yes, basically at the beginning, you see, you saw when I don't know, he was in a cave and he was completely alone. Um, I don't know. He had the big opportunity to find his own place. But unfortunately, really, life it's not very easy for Gobolino. In the end, it's a little sad, I insist. And so the point in this story, and I identify with this story because when you are born with a disability, this society, it's something similar like this. You are the different. So the differences maybe are understand in the majority of cases like a problem or like an advantage, you know? I don't know if you have been familiarized with disability, with people with disability in general, not just blind people in general, with everybody, with all kind of disabilities. But usually in your family, when you have, maybe some of you are mothers or fathers, I don't know, and you have a shy, also always you hope that the shy could be very healthy and beautiful and perfect and blah, blah, blah. So when you have, you know, a son or a daughter and the doctor says, hey, your daughter has a disability, it's impressive at the beginning. And in many cases, like Gobolino, families don't accept easily that situation. In our society, it's very common. It's incredible because we are in the 21st century, but nowadays it's very difficult to understand how people don't comprehend that disability is no very terrible situation. It's just a different condition for human beings. But we sometimes we continue really every day having problems with discrimination and what kind of a lot of kind of aptitudes that unfortunately are very common in our societies with people that they consider are different. So Gobolino is a little of my story and maybe the story of many people with disabilities, because when you are not normal, it's a very ugly word, but exists. When you are not normal, when you are not in the standard of the society, so you have to face many challenges in the school, with your family, with the society. Always that you want to do something, always you find obstacles and you find not just physical barriers, like in the case of people that use wheelchairs, for example, but also you find, I don't know, social or yes, stereotypes, yes, or social barriers that are very difficult to face. Maybe sometimes you have seen on the street a blind person trying to cross the street, or maybe you have known some blind people or, you know, deaf people trying to do something. And it's impressive and it's incredible. But yeah, every day is a challenge for us to survive. So Gobolino for me is my how you say, it's like my representation. I am very lucky that my family with the time understood my position, because I am not alone. I have a sister with disability too. So we are two, and the disability of my sister is deeper because she's blind, but she's autism. So it's very difficult for my parents. But in general, even my neighbors that, I don't know, they have seen me since I am a baby. They nowadays they still have a lot of prejudices about me and about my life, you know. So I like this story, and I like to start with this story because I like that you think about the diversity and what means for you a person with disability, basically a person with a difference, not just disabilities. Really, all of us are different because we have different conditions. But I don't know, I would like to know if some of you have had an experience with disability. So it's new for you, this topic. Have you had an idea? Are you familiarized with the use of assistive technology or Braille or things like this? I know I would like to listen a little from you. I love that people speak a lot. So sorry, in my classes, my students have to speak yes or yes. So you have to speak. Raul said that this is my class. So please open your microphone and tell me if you have had any experience with disabilities, or if you have been in contact with that kind of population. And what about you? How are your feelings about, so how do you feel when you see a person with disability? Or maybe you have a disability, I don't know. So I would like to listen to you.
I think I can. I mean, I really appreciate the question.
Yeah.
Because disability is something that it's. I mean, you really don't notice it until it basically hits you in the face. In many ways, like we don't think about it until a student shows up in the class, or until something happens to you that forces you, let's say, to be on crutches for 1 or 2 or 3 months, and then you start thinking about this, for example.
But you know that nowadays it's very common to find students with disabilities in our classrooms.
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
Before it was very terrible because 40 or 50 years ago, the education for people with disabilities was segregated. Like everybody, all blinds are in school. That's all. But nowadays we talk about inclusion, and we thought that nowadays all children, unless in Bogota, I think that it's in the country, they go to the mainstream schools. So in your classroom, you're going to find, as an English teacher, you're going to see people with a lot of different characteristics, and some of them have disabilities. So how to assume that you have a student that is blind or that is deaf? How do you teach English, for example, to a deaf person? Yes, this is the challenge, and it's the reality that you have to face in your classroom.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think that's why it's important. In many ways, not to treat, and I think I can really relate to the story. I mean, I understand the story in the sense of, and I don't know what's your take on this, but I've always felt that making a student with disability feel like they're so different from the rest of the class. I mean, I don't know if that's the way to go. I mean, they have differences, but some of the differences are, I mean, I don't know. Just like sometimes I feel like we treat them as something really different that we need to put to move to the side or something. Sometimes I think that's problematic.
Yeah, but it is a problem when you understand disability as a problem. Nowadays there are a lot of ways to make adjustments, and the point here is that we are persons like whoever, and we have the same characteristics. So to have a disability never defines someone. It's just one characteristics between thousands of characteristics. But yeah, for us, I think that now they continue being very difficult to show that we have skills. In my opinion, the problem is that people confuse the idea of disability, so disabled with unable, and it's completely different. So it's not the same to have a disability that maybe have some conditions that are different from you, but you are unable and you are disabled. It's completely different. And but people really don't understand that.
But I'm very curious because you just brought up, I mean,
it's okay.
I would like I'm very curious now. I would like you to because I would like you to elaborate on how you see those two different, how you would establish the difference between being disabled and being
Oh.
unable.
Unable.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm gonna talk about an imaginary case. For example, okay, about me. I am a disabled person. Obviously, that I have a disability. It's a visual disability, and I can see. It's obvious that it's a disability, and I disable because I don't have this skill, this disability in my body. Yes, but also, for example, in my case, I am unable to use. Let me see. For example, Excel. For me, very tricky. I don't understand. I hate Excel, and always that I have to for example to write my grades for my students, you know, oh no, it's terrible when I have to look for promedies, or you know, it's so I am unable, not because I am disabled. I am unable because I don't like mathematics basically, and it's because I haven't had the interest of learning. Maybe some of you are unable to play guitar. I play guitar, maybe you know. Yes, and it's unable because maybe you don't you haven't learned how to explore this skill, or because some of you are not interested in exploring the skill, or because, you know, for example, I am unable to speak French. I just speak English and Spanish, yes, or German, or so it depends. So to be unable is just to have less knowledge in something, for example, or maybe you can be unable because you had an accident and you broke your right hand, for example. So you can't write for 2 months. Yes, it's temporary, but you can do it later. So you are unable now because you are sick, but it's not disabled. Yes. So it's things like this. Like sometimes people believe that a disabled person or person with disability doesn't have enough capacities to do something, and it's a wrong idea. Yes, it's my it's quite like my I am sis. I am not a special educator, and everything that I say is based on my experience as a person with disability in this society. But I don't know, what do you think? So I would like to listen more about you. Some more
Yeah,
ideas about
definitely.
diversity. Yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point I would also like to invite the students to once again either turn on their microphones
Yeah, and don't be shy. Don't be shy.
or
Don't be
type the
shy.
question in the chat. And really take Maritza's suggestion not to be shy.
Yeah.
And really let's take advantage of the moment to pick her brain, because and again, I don't, while the students start thinking of the questions, there was something very interesting you said, and I like, well, again, you say I'm not a special educator, but I'm talking about from my life perspective. And sometimes I feel that that life perspective is necessary, even if we're going to talk about special education, or even if we're, I mean, whether we're going to talk about it or not, I think
Yeah.
having that life perspective is necessary. But now that we have hands raised, so
Okay.
I'm gonna bring
Nice.
the room. So Stephen raised his hand first. So Stephen, if you can you turn on your camera also, and then
And the microphone.
To raise your question for Maritza. So go for it.
So thank you, Steven. Yes, don't be shy. I love to listen to people. Really, it's my favorite activity. So, okay. Hi, Steven.
Hello, Maritza. Well, I can't turn on my camera because
No worries. I don't care because I don't see you, so it's the same for me. Doesn't care. No worries. You know.
But okay.
Okay.
A few minutes ago, I listened
Yeah.
that Maritza was talking about that in Bogota, the mainstream college or schools
Yeah.
work so hard with people with disabilities and those kind of situations. And it reminded me that, for example, here in Itagüí, so close to us, there is a school named Juan N. Cadaví, and in that school, there is people, I don't know how to say, I think it's mute, people that can talk. And
Maybe, yeah.
and deaf people too. And for example, my sister, she doesn't have that disability, but she still study with that people, and they study together, they work together, the teachers know how to speak in
signal language. Yes.
Signal language. Indeed, indeed, my sister has a class where she learned how to speak or to talk in signal language. So I think that it is pretty inclusive for everybody.
Yeah.
And also it reminded me that when I was in high school, in my last 3 years in high school, I studied with one girl that had the same disability that Maritza. And we worked together so close. And then I indeed learned how to use myself on just listening the
Yeah.
things by the different
Yes.
she taught me how to do that, and I think that was pretty interesting, and it was pretty significant for me because it helped me to see the world in a different way and to learn in different ways. And I think that sometimes it is pretty important because we can do everything maybe easier for us because we have all our, I don't know how to say that, sentidos.
Yeah, everything is done for you, for people who
Yeah,
have five senses. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely.
But when I lose one, at least for one moment, things can turn quite difficult. So
Yeah.
I think it was a pretty good experience for me, and I think that
Okay. Thank you, Stephen, for your contribution. And it's very nice that you have had experience to share with people with disabilities. Yeah, definitely people who share with us is more open mind and understand diversity in a different way that a person who never has had any contact and believe that we are like different, or I don't know, like an strange people or something like this. Okay, who else? You say that you have seen other right hands, so
That's right. Juan Pablo was just raising his hand. So Juan Pablo, you go
okay.
for it.
Juan Pablo,
Hello,
hello.
teacher. How are
Hello,
you?
hello. Very nice, very happy to stay with you here. So let me know your opinion.
Okay. So I'm doing well, and I was going to tell a story that in the UPB I had the opportunity to have an exam with a blind person by my side.
Mm-hmm.
So um, it was really difficult because she had a partner that was reading all the questions for her out
Mm,
loud. So
yes,
it was really difficult to me to focus on
the concentration. Yes.
on my exam, but
Yeah.
I understood the situation, and I saw that like a challenge for me to really focus on my exam.
Yeah.
So it was really difficult, but we need to understand that some people have these more difficult situations that they need to deal with. So yeah, it's not a problem for me. It was like a challenge to focus on the exam.
Yeah, I know. It's very strange because usually institutions try to separate. So when I had exams, for example, at the university, they try to look for a place for just me and the reader, because yeah, it's true. It's very difficult for the rest of people concentrate when you are talking. Yeah, it's hard. Okay, thank you, Juan Pablo. Okay, someone else or?
You
Yes, Susanna was just raising her hand. So Susie, go for it.
So, okay, hello, Susanna.
Hello, Maritza. How are
Hello,
you?
nice to meet you. Very well,
Nice
thank
to
you.
meet you
So,
too. So I did have an experience. It was more like casual, not that much academics. I was working in a restaurant, and then there was a family, a deaf family, like they were all.
oh,
And then
yeah.
I was working at the register, and they came here to order. Then I handled like a notepad and a pen. And then it was one of them that she was like, no, I don't need it. And then she started to point it out the things that she wanted. And
Mhm.
then the family came, and then they start to write on the paper. But I felt really frustrated
Mhm.
because I wanted to communicate with them, and
Yeah.
I really want to learn the sign language, but I didn't know it. And I still
Yeah,
haven't
it's
tried
true.
yet. But it was
Yeah.
really frustrated for me. And I like the fact that they didn't mind that I didn't understand them. They were just like keeping doing their thing, and they
Yeah.
just still order the thing, and I could give them the. But
Mhm.
yeah, I really found that
But
amazing.
it's normal, so don't worry.
Yeah.
The majority of people don't have any idea. For example, me neither. I don't have any knowledge about sign language. So I have seen some deaf people, but really, if you ask me about other disabilities, I just can't speak about yes, talk about my disability because I ignore the necessities of others because yeah, I know that all of us have different necessities. So my necessity is more related with access to the information, for example, and maybe for deaf people, the biggest problem I suppose are is in communication. I don't have any problem for my communication. So it's yeah, it's totally different. So very nice, Susanna. Thank you so much. And yeah, I imagine the situation. It's quite like, oops, what to do? Because if I don't know how to communicate with others, yeah, it could be a little frustrated. But it's great. Yeah, the most important is the aptitude. If you want to be useful for someone else, you don't need to be an expert. I don't know if I can make a comment. I don't, it's so curious. I was, my family lives in Medellin, part of my family, and I was doing a conference some years ago in, can I say the name of the university? Jaime Sasa Cadavid, okay?
Yeah, sure.
And it was so funny because when I was in Jaime Sasa Cadavid, I was, I had to give a workshop about Braille, yes, how to work or write in Braille. And all the time in my class, I believe that my students were students of special educators or the program of special education, yes. And when I finished my class, I asked all the students. So the answer was so funny because everybody was from engineer, from, I don't know, from different programs, social communication, physical education, things like this. I said, what? So what happened in this university? And I don't know if nowadays it's the same, but at that time, that university has like, how you say, with like a transversal program maybe that all the students have to take because all of them have different programs, but they had to take one semester something called, I forgot the name, like education, no, necessities or something like this. I don't remember the name of the subject, but it's very interesting because everybody learns a little about Braille, a little about sign language. So they are not experts, but maybe if they are teachers nowadays, they have a little, any idea about how to write in Braille, for example. So it was very nice. And in my opinion, all universities should adopt that idea that the students know a little about special education. Not that everybody be an expert, but try to like unless give the most essential information for all future maybe teachers or things related with education, that they can understand a little what it means to write in Braille, what it means to have I don't know, to communicate using sign language or things like this. It was very interesting experience. Okay, someone else? Okay. To conclude this part, because the idea is not
Sorry.
just okay,
Can-
sorry, it's okay, no worries.
An experience that I had was
Yeah.
that when I was getting out of the bus going to UPB, there was one of the students at UPB that he was blind, so he asked me for my help to guide him to the university, but I didn't know what to do, so I like grabbed his arm, and then he told
Yeah.
me like, oh no, I put my
Yes,
hand on your
yes,
shoulder.
it's vice versa. Yeah.
Yes. So it was good to learn that. I like learning that and like knowing how to help him in a comfortable way.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to mention that, well, nowadays, with YouTube, there are also a lot of YouTubers with disabilities. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
really interesting to learn that, to learn how they do their things and how they live.
Yeah, how
And
they
as
like.
you are saying, I think it's really important for us to know those things, like not to be an expert, but it's interesting to know, especially us as future teachers.
Yes,
So
it's
yeah,
true. You're gonna be teachers. Yeah, thank you so much. Sorry, what was your name? Oops.
it
Okay,
was me, Natalia, again.
Natalia. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So to close a little, but the idea, I bring this because I feel like it's important you understand what means to create material for different kind of populations. Usually people who work in the creation of material, especially for English, I don't know why, always use images and things like this, and they forget that there are a lot of students with disability, with visual disability, for example, and we don't have access to that kind of material. So it's important to understand the necessities of all population. So just to close this idea, I bring a video that I like a lot. It's because I don't know, we're talking about inclusive education nowadays, but maybe some of you don't understand exactly what it means inclusion. Maybe I disagree with that word because inclusion is like, I don't know, an opposite of exclusion.
Um,
In my case, oh,
I was
sorry,
just
you want to say something?
yes, I was just, I mean, I really was curious about that because it's just,
Yeah.
you had made that reference. I mean, we
Yeah.
tend to use the word inclusion, but then now that you start raising the question, it's like, okay, I really would like to hear more about why, because you seem to find the word a little bit problematic in you from your perspective.
Yeah,
And I would really like to, I would really like to, I mean, even I use the title word in the for the session. So now I'm really curious about, but I would really like to get your perspective, and most importantly, if there is such a, if I may dare to raise the question, if we're not to use that word, inclusion, what word should we use?
Okay, let's start thinking about something. And when we talk about inclusive education, that it's very fashionable word, inclusive education in general, it doesn't mean special education. I think that this is the first mistake that people sometimes have. Inclusive education means, so inclusion is for everybody, not just for people with disabilities. So when you talk about inclusion, you have to talk about people from different ethnicity, the LGBTQI, oh, I forgot. Yeah, community are people who lives on the street, people. So all vulnerable population are included in inclusive education, not just disability. I don't know why, but always that I read something about inclusion, I feel that always they are talking about just disabilities, and it's wrong. So inclusion is for everybody. Why I don't like? Because inclusion means like you were excluded. That inclusion is because you are in, and exclusion you are out. And since my own experience in my life, I have never been out. So since I was born in this country, I am a citizen like you, and I have the same rights. It's not to be in or to be out. I think that the topic here is to have enough tools, or guarantees to belong. I want to show you my favorite concept. It's belonging. I prefer to talk about belonging because I feel that people with disability in particular don't need to be included. So we need to be included, but we need to participate. You know what I mean? It's not just to say, hey, I am studying in UPB, and I go to the class and I and I sit down and I pay attention, and that's all. And this is inclusion. No, because we need more. We need to be involved. I think there is a big difference. How you do, what is the interaction that you have with your environment? It's not just to stay in one place and that's all. It's how you use this space to be yourself, to be a person like whoever. So sometimes inclusion means just that you are inside and that's all. But what happened when you are in? So how do you feel? What happened with you? Here, I have been working in many schools that are called inclusion schools in Bogota. Yes. And I have had many students with disabilities in my classroom, and it's so bad. It's very sad when I see that they are sitting, but they don't do anything because they don't have the material in Braille, for example. So they go to the English class and, oh yeah, so, and the here the people that is in the government said, no, we have a very excellent program of inclusion. But what is the program of inclusion? Just to say that there are 20,000 people studying at the school. But what about the guarantees for these people? It's not just to say that they are studying because they go to the school. So what happened with them in the school? They just go to sit down and no more. So it's that my point, that maybe we understand wrong the word inclusion. So I'm going to share with you this video that talk about 3 words that are very important. So pay attention and let me know what are your opinions about it, okay? So let me share my screen. Wait a second. Yes, very fun. Wait.
Zoom reunion. Controls D reunion.
Oh, okay. You listen again, Mike.
Clays Raoul.
Okay, sorry a second.
2.
Okay, watch
Enter.
this. I hope you can see well.
Reproductor.
Future Learn. UNSW Australia. Diversity, inclusion and belonging.
Hello, I'm Louisa.
And I'm Kelly.
And during this course, we are going to be unpacking some words that we often hear in association with disability. Words like inclusion and human diversity and belonging, and other words as we move through the course. So, Kelly, I think the first word that we'll look at is this concept of inclusion, and we hear this a lot when we're talking about disability, this idea of disability inclusion, and we attach it to all sorts of meanings. But I know from our conversations in the past that you have a few issues with the term inclusion, so maybe we could start by discussing that word.
Yes, look, like a lot of other people, I thought, yes, inclusion, fantastic. That's what people with disabilities need and want. But, you know, with this term, it's been around now for 20 years or more, and I have become increasingly concerned about its use and what it means, because it's thrown around without much attempt to really explore what it actually means for people. And I think the other issues with it are 20 years on, there are still many people with disabilities who are unemployed, who can't participate in their communities, who live very lonely, isolated lives. There's something wrong with inclusion if it's seen that way. And I think that some of the issues that have arisen for me about the term are that, firstly, we don't define it very often, we just use it. It free floats, so we say inclusion in the community, but we don't define the community either. Nor do we really think about the person. So, Louisa, you could say, I am included. Or I could say, I include you, Louisa. But it's very hard to say, I include myself. So there's a lack of agency somehow in this term.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that really strikes me about the word inclusion, is that if I apply it to myself, I usually will only apply it to myself in places that were really exclusive. So, for instance, you know, a club that I'm not allowed to go to, and
like
then
a men's club.
A men's club, and then suddenly I'm allowed membership to or entry into. And I think it does set up this really neat boundary or binary opposition between inclusion and exclusion. And as you say, I think what you mean when you're talking about agency is, in effect, this kind of power or empowerment that people have over being included themselves. And instead, what we get in with this concept of inclusion is the idea that somebody in power gets to determine whether you're in or out of a certain space.
Yes, and it also doesn't take into
diversity,
account
inclusion, and
what I might want, my subjectivity. So I think sometimes when people talk about someone being included, they are the ones who define what that means.
And I think we'll come back to that idea in a minute. I think the other thing that you're alluding to there too, though, and perhaps one reason that the term inclusion is useful, is that it is often about places where people have been excluded in the past. So, you know, you've talked about this idea of, you know, employment and community participation, for want of a better term. And I think it does make visible that active forms of, you know, exclusion or discrimination, where we do need some proactive and visible policies around making sure that human diversity is valued and recognised. So I think that there is a place there for the term, but I understand your perspective that it's not actually being successful in the way that it's been operationalised. But so, I mean, I think that there are alternatives perhaps to it, and maybe you could discuss that a little bit.
Well, I think inclusion's a step along a long journey that we're all taking, you know, and I don't want to sort of say, well, we shouldn't ever talk about inclusion. But I do think that if we're really serious about human diversity and taking account of what individuals need and want and desire, then we need to move beyond that, because it doesn't seem to me to take those things very much into account. So where does that leave me? Well, you know, a lot of despairing thoughts about, well, where do we go from here? And I guess for me, one of the issues was that at the time that a lot of this came up for me, I was living away from my original country. So I was living in the UK. And the issue of belonging started to emerge for me as an individual. I've lived overseas lots. I'm now in Australia again. But where do I actually belong? And I think one of the things that became really important to me was that whole thing about there is a yearning, a sort of longing for something that is about history and relationships and work and safety and all of those things. I read an Irish philosopher called John O'Donoghue, and he says we should split belonging, that if we think about it as being and as longing, then it encapsulates a really fundamental human desire. So our longing for unity perhaps, or for closeness, or for a place, are really important. They're part of our being.
Yeah, I mean, to me that is just so useful, that division, because it really captures those central questions that I think a lot of what we have been touching on resonates with, and that is really this fundamental idea about what it means to be human. You know, what are these fundamental things that make us human and that make us feel like we are able to flourish? And I think that idea of being and also the essential idea of connection that is in longing, that really we desire, we long for a connection to something, whether it be place.
Okay,
Espacio.
the video is a little longer, so we don't have enough time. Sorry, I haven't seen the watch before. Just to conclude this, really, inclusion obviously has been very effective. So nowadays we have thousands of people with disabilities with a job, without a job, without any opportunity for education.
2. Control.
Give me a second, I stop this.
Alt
Yeah.
F.
Many people really don't have, a very wide, a very good quality of life when they have a disability. I am very lucky. I have been very blessed because I have had a very lovely family, and I have had the support of many people around me, but many others no. And it's obviously that inclusion needs to be like reformulate maybe and think more about diversity. So these girls are from Australia, and in Australia, the idea of inclusion doesn't exist. They talk about diversity and how everybody is different. So I am different, you are different, Raul is different, everybody is different, but we are in a society that, with diverse of population. But it's better to talk about diversity. So we are diverse people. Everybody has different skills and different, strengths and weaknesses. And it's normal because we are human. And the idea of belonging, I like a lot, because belong is be long. Yes, I don't, if you understand my my way. So be long, like stay long time in something. So when you have the idea of belonging, when you have that sensation that you belong to a community, that you belong, I don't know, in your case, you belong to UPB University, or you belong to a city, or you belong, when you have that idea, it's easy for a person in particular, for everybody in general. When you have a sensation of belonging, you feel that really you are part of something, it's the real inclusion, when you feel that you're active, that you can participate, that you have the same opportunities like the rest of people, that you really belong to something. When I have asked my colleagues and, other blind people or other people with disability in general, I think that the most important for us is to belong to something, to feel that really we are taking into account in a community, that we are part of a community. Sometimes inclusion talk about school, talk about, a lot of legislation, but we don't talk about community. And it's important what happens with people that it's around you. They really help you. So they really know that they are part of the inclusion. What is the role of the rest of the society in the inclusion? So it's very tricky, and we have to, I know we can talk about it for hours, but basically the idea and the invitation is to think more about the idea of belonging and how you feel that when you belong to any specific community makes you a better person, or you have more, I don't know, opportunities to be yourself, to live in the way you want. So basically that's the idea of inclusion. I usually I talk more about diversity. I always say my students that we are a society with diverse population, And I believe in the diversity because diversity is for everybody and all of us are different and we are unique. So um, to be blind or to be deaf or to be whatever, it's no a big difference. Just it's a condition and it's part of our personality. But unless for me, I don't feel that to be blind define my life. I am a teacher. I always say, what do you do? I'm an English teacher. Lily, to be honest, I'm working in a university here in Bogota and my students don't have any idea that I am blind because I never turn on the camera. I have like groups of 50 people. So I always say, no, my internet connection is terrible. And they don't know that I don't see. And it's very funny because they do everything, slides, and I can do everything. I use Google Meet, so I share screen, I speak all the time, blah, blah. So it's very communicative class, but it's interesting because they don't know that they are talking with a blind person. And I think that it's not important because really it doesn't make the difference, I am teacher like whoever, and that's all. I remember that the last day of the last semester, I opened, I turned on my camera one day and say, hi, everybody, I am your teacher. I am blind, but don't worry, I have seen everything. So they were like, what? And it was very interesting, the social impression that people have when they know that they have a teacher that is blind and when they don't know. Because really, I don't know, it's very, I don't know, the students feel like, why you didn't say before, but why it's not important, it's just to be a person, and I am a person like whoever, so it's that. Okay, I speak a lot, so
Yeah, but okay, before I give Natalia the chance to speak again,
yeah, okay,
I mean, as I hear you, and there was one comment you said before that I found, I personally thought it was hilarious when you told the first student, it was Steven, like, don't worry about turning on the camera, I can't see you anyway. And because it's kind of like, people be like, yeah, but, because sometimes I see, you probably have felt this, that there are people who, even when they talk to you, they I can imagine this happened to you because I've heard this and I've read this about it, that even using the verb to see, people start tiptoeing around it, like, can I say see you later, or see?
I say always,
no, because I find it funny because it's like sometimes we feel like, oh, if I use the verb see when I'm talking to a blind person, I'm being sensitive.
No.
And I don't know. I feel like, but I think it's interesting, like how the joke that you made is like it kind of like normalized, and I think part of this work with disabilities, the way I see it, it's to normalize the presence. It's not necessarily to make it stand out, but normalize that, as you said, we're here, we want to belong, we are part of this. And I think that even in the sense of, look, there's not tiptoe around using the word watch or the word see when you're talking to someone who's blind. That's not good. I don't think that's going to offend them. There are other things you can do that are far more offensive.
It depends. I think depends of the kind of people. I am very relaxing because all my life I have been blind, so I don't have any problem. But I know that there are some blind people that are very, very conflictive. And maybe nowadays with the idea of the language, you have to be very careful. Maybe for me, offensive when you say, I'm going to use Spanish a little, cieguito, for example, or when you use small words like this, for me, it's offensive. My recommendation for all of you is that when you talk about disabilities, you always, always, always use the word person. So you don't say she is blind, she is a person with disability, with visual impairment, or just, but it's a person. So always you have to use the noun person, because just the disability is just an adjective. So it's a person with disabilities. It's the correct way. Maybe it's the best, is the most correct, or the most, I don't know, political way to say something like, okay, this is a person with a hearing disability. yes, instead of deaf, or this is a person with visual disability instead of blind, but it's not wrong. So it depends a lot of the person who you are talking with, you know. Some people are very, I don't know, nasty sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I am very relaxing because I understand that not everybody has the same knowledge, and it's true. So we are a society, and maybe you know because you are studying in a university, but many people, for example, my parents, they never go to school, so they say, she's blind, that's all. And how I can explain them, they never are going to change because they are adults now, so it's their way. So.
Yeah. Oh, I do have a lot more to say, but I think Natalia has been raising her hand for too long. I don't want her hand to get tired. So Natalia, you go ahead.
No worries.
It's
Natalia,
okay,
yes.
teacher. I'm going to say something short. I just wanted to say that I like this idea of belonging because also when you belong somewhere, it means that you want to be there. And when we talk about including, it means that you are already excluded. So we shouldn't teach inclusion. We should teach about not excluding people, just accepting peoples with their differences. So what we need to know is that we shouldn't exclude people, not that we have to include
Yeah,
people.
sometimes you are included because other people decide that you're included. You know, like you have to go to school. I remember when I work in public schools here in Bogota, I had a lot of students, and I say, hey, why you are here? Because my parents brought me. So it's because it's mandatory, but not because I want to stay here. Yeah, when you have a sensation of belonging, you go to a place because really you want to stay, and you know all dynamics in the place. So you are part of a community. It's not just to stay there because yes, yeah. Yeah, it's a very good point, Natalia. Thank you. Yeah, good. Very nice. Okay, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes for something. I am interested that you look for yourself. Uh, oh, I am reading the chat. Okay. Yeah, it's the idea of belonging. I love belonging, really. I also like a lot this idea. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes if you can Google something. I don't want to talk about laws a lot. Legislation is not my favorite topic, but it's necessary. So I'm going to invite you to look for something. I'm gonna use the chat. Give me a second. Wait a second. So look for something called, wait. Wait a second, sorry. No, my chat is, wait. Something was wrong again. Conventional rights, no, convention, wait, sorry, I forgot now the names. Oh my God. Give me a second because it's not working my chat. Why no? Okay, again, I'm gonna try again. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I want that you look information for the Convention of Rights of Persons. Persons, no personas, persons. No. No, my chat is not working. Okay, I say, and if you understand, yes, because I don't know what is happening. I am trying to write, and when I start writing, boom,
Let me see.
takes me
Let me
out.
see if I got ahead of you. Is it the Convention of Rights
Convention of Rights with, yes,
of persons with disabilities?
So
yeah, I found it.
Okay, just look for articles 24, Article 9, and Article 2, okay? I want that you read a little about it and let me know your opinion. So Article 24, it's about education. It's very important you understand what means education in the convention for us. And Article 9 talk about something that is super important, unless for me, that it's accessibility.
Can you remind us to check? Can you remind us of the articles again,
yeah,
Maritza?
2, 9, and 24. 2, 9, 24. Yeah, because my chart is not working. 24. Yeah, 2, 9, 24.
Okay, we're on it.
Yeah, thank you, David. Yes, 2, 9, 24. Just look a little about it. So try to understand it. If you have any question, let me know. What about Article 24? So education for persons with disabilities. Yes, what it means. Number 9, accessibility. That it's super important. If you're going to be teachers, you have to be clear with in especially when you design material, you have to be clear with the idea of accessibility. And number two, it's the like more general terminology. It's very important you understand what means adjustments. So rational adjustments is one of the most important or relevant words in this convention, especially for education. So I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. Wow, the time flies. Okay, I know that the time flies, so my God, why? It's terrible. But yeah, so the idea is that you try to that you read this information and be clear about what means, you know, adjustments and what means communication, what it's language, what it's braille. I suppose that you know a little what is braille. Is the most common okay, yeah, the most common system that we use to write and read, it's with points, yes. So 6 points, usually you can, you know, you can see it's very easy to find information. I'm gonna share a little screen here. And I just want to, okay, maybe you have listened before my computer. Okay, I think that it's not necessary, but yes, you have listened before. When we talk about assistive technology, we talk about something called JAWS for Windows, JAWS, J-A-W-S. It's like a software that works very similar to your telephone, you know. It's a synthetic voice that, okay, really a lot of voices. Okay, let me share screen for something. For example, if I do something like this, I know. Yes, verified. Yes.
Controls D.
So listen, this is just
Blank.
maybe you are listening now.
Windows M.
So
Escritorio.
this is just in just has different voices. Is the way that we can use to interact with technology. So this is Eva. I told you at the beginning.
FS.
Obviously, my computer is in Spanish. So,
Felix and Jorge
for example,
vocalizer.
I can change
Enter.
the voice.
Escritorio. Acrobat Reader de
Here appears Jorge. Jorge
FS
speaks
Windows
Spanish.
Pro.
Yeah, I can read it in Spanish perfectly because imagine reading in Spanglish. But also there are more voices. Maybe we have eloquence is the most typical, the most robotic voice. Maybe you have listened. So technology, assistive technology nowadays have different resources like JAWS. Colombia is very, 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 oh my God, we have the privilege to have this license free for all Colombians, because in other countries the license of this program is like $1,000 or something like this. So the government did a very good treatment with Freedom Scientific. There is the company who produces this, and for all blind people here in Colombia, it's free. So it's very interesting. Also, you can see your phones. So you have an iPhone, you have an Android, so you can see or you can listen different voices. So this is assistive technology. All that kind of support that gives you for working with computers or telephones or another kind of devices. Okay. Give me a second. I turn on again my friend Eva. So I send you a presentation, Raul. I don't know if you can share in the last 10 minutes. I think that we have time.
Yeah. So, which of the three, Maritza?
And the last one, because I believe that was early. Sorry. Oh my God, I need hours to speak with you.
Well, we would like definitely.
Temple University.
Yeah,
I'm gonna show you a little, because yeah, Raul tell me that this class is for design material, and you say, and what is this with design material? What is the relation with this and design material? Anything. Raul can send you later, I think so, to your emails. Two things that are very important for you. Yeah, so one thing is and the name is in Spanish because it was produced in a university in Spain, del Decálogo. So to create PDF, accessible PDF, I really recommend you a lot when you have blind students, try to use these like guidelines to create, you know, accessible material so that a PDF could be readable for us. We need some specific parameters or settings in the document. And there is another PowerPoint presentation that I send you, Raul. You can send later to your students. This is not me. This is one of my best friends' presentation, and talk about accessibility, how to make a website accessible. There is something called the W3G rules, are universal. You can find in whatever place in Google, and are very important because let people with disability to have a real interaction with the website. So just realize about these things because are very important in the creation of material, and especially when you are going to work with persons with visual impairments. Okay, so
Perfect.
I want to show you my project very, very fast.
All right,
So,
we're already sharing. So we're on the first. Yeah, we get the first slide right now, and
okay.
and you think
So,
everybody can visualize it, no problem. So
yeah, okay. I just want to introduce you a little about my project in my thesis. As I told you at the beginning, I have been blind all my life. And I love languages, and really one of the things that is most, I don't know, amazing for me is how people pronounce. So for my students, because all the time I am correcting me, no, pronounce, no, isn't that way, isn't that way. I am obsessive with the pronunciation, I think so sometimes. I love a lot phonetics, but as you imagine, the most difficult problem for me was to have access to the IPA, International Phonemic Alphabet, because it's very visual, yes. So when I started studying phonetics, I was a little frustrated because I couldn't do anything. And well, one day I say, okay, I have to make something. When I went to the university in Michigan State, I had a class on phonetics, was terrible for me because again, the IPA, and I say, no, I had to do something for that. So we create a material. The idea is to approach a little about the existence of IPA. For that, the name of this of the slide that you are flashing now. So we try to create something that could be useful for everybody. We use universal design for learning that maybe you have listened a little in your classes. Yeah, so universal design for learning, and we create a material for everybody, but the focus was how to teach phonetics to blind students, yes? So teaching American English sounds, why American? Because well, obviously my teacher was American, so. Okay, next slide.
yeah, we're on the second one already.
Yeah, so very, very fast, the aims, basically we had 3 different aims. The first was to create a material that could be easy, so low cost, you know, and that whatever, you know, institution could download and print. We use a 3D printer to create that, and it was very nice because so there is a website that I'm going to show you later, I know. And the website you can find the material to download this and try to recreate the material in the schools if you need. Yes, the second aim was to create a website, the companion website, with some explanation. It's not just that people touch the figures. I'm going to try to show you. I don't know, I don't use well the camera, but so it's not just to find this in the school, but also to have a website that can help you to understand better what is the purpose of this material. I don't know if you are watching, I suppose. So, okay. And the last one was to create a cooperative learning environment in the English classroom. So the idea was to create material like this that you can see, but also you can touch and you can read and you can do everything at the same time that people who can see. Yeah, so it's the idea. Okay, next slide. Okay, you see the image of one tactile card. Really, the components of this project are 2 sets of 45 tactile cards. Yes. Each card you see it's has basic the figure that you can touch, a number in Braille, the notation in Braille too, the name in Braille, and also the name in printing letter, because some blind people, maybe they have seen before, they can read the letters. So all of them have a number, that's a serial number, and with this information you go to the website and you look for more sample words, how to pronounce the sound, etc. The idea is that people can touch, and can have an idea how is the symbol. For example, here I have in my hand lowercase k with aspiration I have here. So I know that I can read in Braille, and I go to the website and I look for this information. So basically R45, because we have 28 vowels. So, oh my God, 28 consonants and 17 between monophones and diphthongs. So I don't want to teach you phonetics now, but basically that. So 45 different symbols, okay? Next slide. Yes, as I told you, so these are the elements of the tactile cards. There were 2 versions. The first version in Colombia, we did a pilot study with 21 blind students in 2019. And that material was felt paper. Felt paper is a special material that is used to print on braille or to use to create touchable things like this. And the second version was created in 3D material. So we use plastic. We choose green and white because it's the Michigan State colors. And also because the contrast between green and white, it's easy for people who have low vision. Yeah. It's easy because, yeah, it's the identity of Michigan State, but at the same time, it's because for visual people, some people can see a little. So if they have the contrast, for them, it's easier to see the figures. So it was the idea about the colors. And the size, it's a little long because if this is very small, many people that have, for example, diabetes or things like this, they can't touch very well. So they need to define very well. In the training was very nice. It's a shame that I can't tell you my experience with the 20 blind students, but it was very funny. We were together 10 weeks working with this material here in Bogota. And the experience for them was nice, not just because they could recognize these symbols, but also because they understand, for example, the difference between consonant vowels. They know, they learn how to make or how to pronounce the difference, for example, the difference between cat and socks, and, so it was very interesting. And also they could imitate this figure using some, I forgot the name, oh my God, I don't remember the name of this material that is like a wipe. How you say limpia pipa? It's a wipe pipe. I think there is a name. That is like a small something. I don't have one here. And they could recreate that with their own hands. So it's very nice to see pictures and some videos blind people understanding and working and doing transcriptions with these figures, Okay. Next. So the design of the website was created for blind people too. One of my best friends, two of my best friends, they are blind, but they are systems engineering, so they they know how to create a website. And the website was created by them, was very interesting. We tried to do the best with the design of the website because it's for blind. We know that we need to update. We need to post more pictures, maybe something more visual, because maybe it could be a little boring for you if you see the website. But we are working, updating that that website. I suppose that for next month we are going to have some changes in the website. But the idea is that there you can find all information about the IPA symbols, okay, basically. And it's for that. It's the second component of this. So next. I think that you have the link, yes, in the website. Okay, if you want, we can do it at the end. We can share the website. So wait, continue with the next. So you can see that in the website, there are different elements, vowels, consonants. Sorry, the time is running. So consonants, vowels, you can find also the, yes, the material that we use, the experiences. And next. The conclusions, basically, we talk about how this material can create a cooperative learning environment in the classroom. Was pretty positive in general. It means that really people with disabilities don't have any problem to learn another language. Is fascinating when you can teach phonetics to blind. Maybe we are more audible than you. So for us, it's very important, the sound, and it's nice when people improve the pronunciation of some words when they understand the difference between, for example, a monotone and a diphthong. So it's very nice, and it's was very positive. We did a pre-test and a post-test with some material, and the results were very nice. So it means that we a good project, that we need to work more. Yes, basically we need more time. We need to do some changes. So we received some suggestions in the feedback from the students, but in general it was very positive to see the changes between the pre-test and the post-test results. Yes. So 9, next slide. There are many limitations, as I told you, the time. Some of them don't have computer at home. Other people don't have enough digital literacy. The time was very short. Just 10 weeks in Colombia was not enough to test the material. Some of them really don't have any idea about English in general, so phonetics was very new for them. Yeah, the background, well, there are a lot of limitations that we can talk, but yeah, basically that's all. So next is thank you. So it was a very, very short introduction to my project. Really, I love this a lot because it's very interesting to see how we can create material for everybody and think about the people necessities. Yeah, so that's so I don't know if you have the link of the website. Oh no, my goodness, the link of the website. Oh, let me see something has changed a little. So give me a second. I'm gonna try to share here. Oh my god, it's a little late. Wait. Wait, no, my hand. ¿Por qué no? Wait a second. I'm trying to share. Sorry. 1 minute. Oh, why no? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna share this. Yes. Share. Yes. Okay, sorry.
Controls D reunion.
Okay, I suppose that now you listen and watch.
HTTPS
Here is
colon
no. Yes, here is my website. As I told you, needs some, I need to update this. So here, for example, I can show you very quickly. For example, here we have vowels. I'm going to open this, and in vowels, I have, for example, I don't know. Let's see, whatever. No. I know. Okay, lowercase I, for example. Boom. I open this, so I found here the information. So lowercase I is written in the tactile card. Yes, typographical description, sequence of number, blah, blah. The phonetic symbol.
Sample words, phonetic symbol I.
So there are other phonetic symbols that are obviously very difficult.
Sample words.
Sample words, hit, sit. So articulatory description, you can see here, close, front, and rounded, how to pronounce, how to produce this sound. There are two possibilities in the vowels. And here we have this.
Lowercase I, E, heat, key, C.
She's my teacher. She's native speaker. Obviously, she speaks very well. So basically, the information that I have here was enough to understand a little, better the IPA symbols. I forgot to tell you that one limitation was that this program that I am using now, JAWS, sometimes we have tried, oh my God, many times to convince Freedom Scientific people. Freedom Scientific is the company, to incorporate the scripts, in the dictionary, because sometimes when you update the application, the scripts disappear. So for reading, it's necessary installing all the scripts in the program to work with this. It's one of the biggest problems that we have, and we have tried a lot to do something, but it's impossible with them. So we continue working in that. But basically it's the idea. So whatever, or I don't know, any blind person can come to this website and navigate and understand vowels, consonants. And if they have the tactile cards, probably they have more references to understand what it means or how to work with the IPA symbols, okay? Oof, that's all. Okay.
Controls D reunion. Alt S.
Okay, I think that it's too late. Sorry, Raul, I speak a lot. So
on the contrary, on the contrary. I mean, I wish we had more time because, I mean, just looking at that work. I mean, the work that you did, creating those big cards in Braille, for just to learn pronunciation. As you said, I mean, it's really used. I mean, I was looking at that website and I think this website will be useful for anybody. I mean,
yeah. The website is for everybody.
I would be like something like, you wanna really get a grasp of the IPA. I would tell them, go check Maritza's website because it's got everything. It's got the example. It's got the explanation. I mean, I like the fact that it really even talks about, and I'm someone who's not. I mean, I don't call myself a phonetician, especially at university where we have someone who's like one of the leading experts in the country, the field of phonetics. I don't want to, I mean,
I love phonetics. Really, it's my dream of doing a master in phonetics.
Yeah, I'm not going to make a bold statement like that, but I know enough about phonetics to understand the importance of the mechanics. And even the fact that you explain the mechanics of the sound on the website, that's important. In not just the sound, but also, yeah, let's talk a little bit. Even I was looking at the description. At the description, I saw they cut the eyes. You said lowercase, out of small, and kind of like.
No, but there are some files in the website that you can download, and the name of the I closed, but the name is production of vowels in English, production of consonants. You can find it. It's a PDF, and you can read and listen the material. So it's for people who can see and who know. And I think, in my opinion, that the explanation is very clear. What means place of articulation, point of articulation, voicing. So if you read this PDF and you see the website, you know you can make IPA symbols. Yes.
Nice. No, it's amazing. And again, because I think there is so much to learn about that, how we create. And I think that's the big takeaway. I mean, as we start winding down the presentation, I hope that's the big takeaway that people who, everyone who was at the class and people who watch the webinar later get out of this. The importance of creating this belonging, the sense of belongingness, and how, as you said, it's a challenge. I mean, something that we all have to be part of, because making sure when we have students with disabilities, they belong, they feel they belong, that they're not included, but that they belong. And I think that's essential in that conversation, that they feel that we don't feel that, oh, we're just inviting you or we're just welcoming you, but you are supposed to be here all along, and that you are part of this, that we're not just adding you, that you've been here, and we're just acknowledging your presence and making sure that you feel that you are welcome, that you're really welcome, and not something that is just lip service to inclusivity, or no, but really it's something that we really exercise every day in our practice.
Yeah, it's the invitation, definitely, that you think about the diversity more than inclusion. Think about diversity, you think about the different necessities that maybe your students have. It's difficult. I am teacher, and I know that it's very hard to understand everybody's necessities, especially when you have a group of 50 students. It's very hard to standardize the knowledge, but try to do the best with the things that you have. Think about how you can create something that could be useful for everybody. I recommend you to read the Universal Design for Learning, for example. That principles are very, very interesting. And maybe also try to, so Raul can send you later the decalogo. It's very interesting when you have the opportunity to create a PDF. And when you create a Word, for example, Microsoft Word document, try to implement it. The tools that Microsoft has nowadays, Microsoft has a lot of tools for accessibility. So use the title, subtitle, the headings, try to use Calibri or Arial because it's easier for us. Try to become navigated, easy to navigate the document that you are creating, because it's very important for a student to have access to all information that you produce. Yes. So think about accessibility always. So there are many things to say, but yeah. The time flies. So.
But time did fly. That time did fly indeed, and
yes,
we need to call it. We need to call it short, unfortunately, because the students also have other commitments, and I know.
Me too. I have to have lunch and I have class.
Oh no, please do. So I want to just take a moment to express all my gratitude to you for sharing your insights, for sharing your knowledge, for sharing your research. But most importantly, for sharing your life. So I think that's another important takeaway, that sometimes if you link research to your life, research becomes more meaningful in general. So I really want to express all my gratitude.
Thank you,
to you
for your invitation.
No, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing ideas with the students. Thank you all the students who made comments and questions and raised issues. For everybody who's watching this, I remind you that this Demo Wednesday is going to appear. It's on YouTube. It's part of our LSLP in session webinar series. So as always, we make the invitation to enjoy this one and watch all the other great webinars that we have, and this series. For everybody, once again, thank you so much for being here. Once again, to Maritza, our guest speaker, our gratitude and appreciation for the work she does and the advocacy that she's part of in this push for belongingness and diversity. And for everybody, thank you so much, and everybody have a very, very good afternoon.
Okay, thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you.